Alrighty, we should be good. I'm just gonna give it a second to let this thing on load up. Let's see, let's see. Haven't been live on the public channel in a while, so I'm just gonna kind of give this whole thing a second. You guys know technical difficulties are a staple of my channel. Give me one sec, one sec, one sec. Okay, that looks to be good. There we go. Think we're good now. What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the channel. What's up, everyone? How's it going? ¿Cómo estás, mi amigos? Un día muy mala, pero I'm just kidding. Anyway, what's up, people? Everything is crashing. I need you to make sense of all this. Well, I will try to do my best, but there are no promises on this side of town, of course. But we're here, and I'm gonna do whatever I can do, of course, to kind of ease you guys' stresses. I don't think it's anything to be too stressed about. What we should be stressed out about, god damn it, is look at this. Look at my freaking nose, dude. Look at my nose. I got punched right in the face in training yesterday. It was not a good time. Anyway, but yeah, so okay, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get into this thing. I'm gonna pull up the charts here. I'm gonna talk about what I'm seeing. We're at 42.5K right now. So it's getting a little bit ugly, and you guys are stressing. And of course, it's never fun to see what we're seeing right now. And hey, I know it's been a while since I've been on live stream on the public channel. So welcome everyone. I hope I can kind of engage with you all. And yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy the live stream. So let's get it started. 150 people in here in the first minute. Wow. Wow. Let's get it. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the charts here. I'm gonna talk about what I'm seeing, how I'm feeling, and what all is going on. So let's start it. So, entonces, what are we seeing? What's the best view? Let's start with this. Okay. So any of you who have no idea what's going on, I'm just gonna kind of quickly talk about what caused all of this, and then no, I'm not buying Bloomberg. What do I look like? I'm gonna kind of talk about what happened here, and then like what does it mean from now? Okay, so what we can see right now is my portfolio probably I am down roughly 65K this month, I think, or something like that, just from general holdings from my big portfolio, just from the crash. It's been rough, but I'm not even stressing. I don't even care. It is what it is. All right, let's do this. Okay, so what is causing this? Well, of course, we did get some news today. We did get some information today basically saying that the Fed was going to increase some of its tapering, but not only that, that's not really news. Everyone kind of knew they were going to be tapering things down a little bit, but they also did announce that they're going to be doing a lot of rebalancing of their balance sheet, which does look like the sell-offs of some mortgage-backed bonds and things like that that are basically going to inherently lower the cost of many assets due to the fact that it's applying selling pressure. And so one of the things in which they said that kind of freaked out the market was not only that they're going to be doing tapering, but that they will be doing, if I remember correctly, I was in the car on the way home from the dentist when they told me. But what they announced basically was that we're going to see the market we're going to see them basically do 3 sets of interest rate hikes in which they're going to hike up interest rates. Again, we all knew this was coming. They're going to do 3 this year, 3 next year, and then 2 the following year, I believe. That's what they said they were going to do in that order. And then from there, they're also going to be doing some of this rebalancing right after the first interest rate hike. And so the issue, what kind of freaked a lot of people out and what kind of spooked a lot of people was due to the fact that everyone seemingly thought this was going to happen at the same time. Kind of like over time. They thought it would be a little bit more gradual. No one really realized that they would start doing the tapering, then they would start doing the interest rate hiking, and then they would do some of these rebalancing and sellings and putting some of this selling pressure on the market as fast as they are. And although this is scary and although it's kind of one of those things that kind of freaks people out a little bit, I honestly do think that no, Stacey, we are live. But although this is something that does, seem to be scary and it is something that's freaking people out, of course, looking at a 43K Bitcoin right now, I do want to go ahead and say that in the long term, I think we can all realistically agree that this is beneficial. Okay, this is definitely beneficial for the economy, right? Whenever we look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this. I'm just giving you my opinion on what we're seeing in the market and how this applies to crypto. So just bear with me here. But I think that this is beneficial for crypto in itself and the stock market due to the fact that we know shit was getting too extended, right? Shit was getting real when anything would go up. When you know everything is going up, our freaking housing rates going up, even rents going up, pre owned cars going up, Pokemon cards being worth more than me going up. Like, when everything is doing that, when inflation's what 6% that we saw that month or that quarter on quarter rise or year on year rise, it's all ridiculous, right? And so whenever we're seeing those extensions being completely just fueled by this a massive amount of money being thrown into the economy, these stimulus checks going everywhere, and then 0% interest rates, meaning that money is free for the most part, that is the perfect combination for us to start to see things getting a little bit out of hand. Okay. And so realistically, if we're gonna be honest, right? The long-term sake of our economy and the long-term sake of where we see these market goes was dependent on if we could slow this down. Because realistically, that's my hairline going up. But anyway, what we were seeing from the market was that these things needed to happen. We needed to see this at some point because what we were seeing was not sustainable. And so one thing that I offer to you is that realistically, what we're seeing right now is a short-term thing. And as we are going into this, through these interest rate hikes, and as we are also going into some of these different changes being made into the economy, do understand that it is going to get factored in. Some of these changes will be priced in much earlier than they are executed, right? And so I saw someone say earlier, basically that, okay, so they're doing interest rate hikes for 2 years. Basically. And so what that means for us is that we could go into a 2-year bear market. And realistically, I don't really see that being the case due to the fact that the market typically is going to work in advance, meaning that when we know what the game plan is, three interest rate hikes, and two interest rate hikes, and I think it's going up like 2% or something like that. These things are going to get priced in early on. And so realistically, if the economy does start to slow down and some of the prices of assets, such as the housing market, such as stocks, such as crypto, and all of these things do start to fall, I don't believe that that's going to be enough incentive in itself for us to see 2 years of some bullshit. Okay. Do I think that this right now is the bear market? Let me answer this question right now. Not yet. I'm still not convinced yet. Okay. And so, what I'm going to talk about today is where I'm expecting things to go. How does this realistically affect crypto? And then what I'm expecting from the market. What needs to happen on Bitcoin specifically to tell me, okay, this is probably the bear market. So, with that being said, let me drink some water first before I say let's get into it. Let's get into it. And if we're not at 100 likes in the next like 80 seconds, I'm going to be really sad. And you guys don't want to see a light skin cry on camera. That's never a good look. So, let's do this. So, what are we seeing? Let's zoom into the Bitcoin charts. Let's pull this up and let's talk about what we got going on. And let's just look at this from an unbiased, emotionless point of view. Okay. So, whenever we saw this crash, many of you on my channel, especially those of you who are in Vamos a morir. No, we're not going to die, Esteban. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. No vamos a morir. But so what we saw, okay, so we saw this dip. We saw this fall. This was due to the Evergrande bullshit. China bullshit. We always see it. Happens all the time. Okay. So we saw this fall. The first thing I told you all as we recovered, as I said, historically speaking, when we see wicks leading to quick recovery on that same day, like within 48 hours, we have a tendency to trickle down and to recapture and retest the previous level in which we established lows. The reason being is because once we start to hit some of these levels, some people are going to sell, some people will not. But what this does is it establishes a floor. And so what usually happens is that as we establish this floor, we'll start to see leverage picking up. We'll start to see people getting excited. And what they'll kind of say is like, well, likelihood is we're not going to go this low again, right? We're recovering. We're going up. Let's pick up leverage. Let's go. Let's do this. Let me increase my long positions. And then what kind of happens is that a lot of those positions that got started here, a lot of them may have stop losses around the same area. A lot of people may have their exit plans at these levels. Like, well, if we set a lower low, I'm going to get out. And typically what I've noticed is that we'll come back down to retest it. If you guys remember, I said this. As soon as that crash happened, I said the likelihood of me buying anything right now is very slim because of the fact that until we start to clear some of these local highs, once we start to push the 52Ks, set some of these higher highs, get daily closes, I was like, we're still in the territory to come retest this. And this whole stream isn't for me to say I was right. Look at me. But it's more to applaud those of you who sat out a little bit, right? Whenever we were seeing this little bit of return, because we were waiting for some of those stronger confirmations to the downside. So now the question becomes, is this normal? I think that that's a question that we should answer relatively early. Is this normal? Is what we're seeing right now normal, or is this out of the ordinary? Because what I'm looking at is some normal shit. And so in that event, whenever we're seeing something that's relatively normal, well, realistically, it kind of eases my worries. Because look, I'm a human being. I'm not emotionless. I'm down maybe six figures, But at the end of the day, whenever something happens that you can deem relatively normal, I feel like it takes away that feeling like, oh, this is it. This is the big one. This is the freaking death of the economy. And once you start to make it an outlier, you make it worse. But once you can individualize it into a thought that this is normal and this has happened before, and I've still seen growth from that point, then I think it kind of makes it much easier to handle. So let's go ahead and let's kind of look at this and see if we've seen anything like this before. Okay. Let's see if anything if we've seen anything like this before. Okay. So the biggest thing that I've been comparing this whole move to has been this summer. And now I was not the first one to talk about, make some of these comparisons, but I was pretty dang on close, right? And what we noticed in this event is that over the summertime, whenever we saw this pullback in the market, we saw a very similar outcome. We saw what seemed to be a descending wedge with a fake out to the top side. Some people can call it what they want, but that is exactly what this is. A descending wedge with a fake out to the top side. This is what you call a bull trap. Now, what was beautiful about this bull trap was that as we did see growth, right? As we did start to see this uptrend, we never came back above and put daily closes above this last level, the little macro highs we put after the bounce. So we fell, we bounced, we put in these highs, and we continued to fall. And as we saw the fake out to the upside, we never, not one time, saw the breakout that we needed to in order for us to get back above that local high for us to continue upwards. From that point, we then came back down to revisit these range lows we put in around this time, around $30,000. Now, throughout this time, we were also getting a lot of bad news. The market wasn't looking too good. Things were looking pretty ugly. People were freaking out. It was going to be the end of crypto. And I remember all of the talks where people were saying Bitcoin's going to 10K. And what happened from that point forward is we came back down and we started to find some of these key support levels that did seem to hold quite well. From what we realized and what we noticed was that we were actually interacting with some very crucial levels. Let's kind of talk about what these crucial levels were. So what we were able to do realistically is we were kind of able to look at this from more of a long-term perspective. And we could look at it in terms of our previous bull market. So what we did is we took some of these highs, right? We went from the high we set around 20K and we put in these lows here. And let's kind of just see where all this went. Well, what we can see happening is that the price came back, boom, it worked its way back up. We extended up into our Fibonacci extensions up into, up into the 3.618 at 64K. Before we saw a bounce down to our 2.618, we lost that and we came down to our 1.618 and found some support. And so what you can see is that as this whole thing did play out, we were finding some support on top of key levels. And as long as we were realistically holding this range, we were still okay. And what's interesting about what we're seeing right now is that it realistically isn't as bad as it could have been. Because realistically, looking at this, right, when we put in this high, this low, this high, and this low, we back then said we do not want any daily closes below this level right here. Because if this is the case, I remember these videos that I was making. I said, we don't want to see it go back below these levels. Because if that is the case, we've then put in a lower low on a daily close confirmation, which likely results in a continued fall to the downside. And although we did put in some closes, as you can see, if I draw this line, we never set the lower low. Well, what we're looking at right now is a very similar outcome, but in a bit of a different way. What we can see happening is a bit of a squeezed in version of that, right? In which we put in this high and this low. We came up to put in our high. And now we're ranging in between lows and we're ranging in an area that still has some wiggle room to the downside. That 30K range we were talking about back there is now around 40K for us now. But what you can see is that even if we do lose this bottom side support in which we've established on this wick, we still have room to the downside to work as low as possibly $39,750 before even setting the lower low. And just fundamentally speaking, one thing that we ever know is that we set higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. And as long as right now we're setting these higher lows, realistically, this isn't anything that serious. I know it looks ugly. I know it looks not fun, but at the end of the day, we're still setting higher highs on a macro trend and we're still looking okay. Now, does this mean that we will not revisit these lows? No, it does not. There is a chance that we come back down to this level for sure. And anyone who says there's no chance that we're not going to come to this level simply is lying. This is within the realm of possibilities. But at the moment, while we're still above $40,000, there's really no reason for me to believe that this is anything but some type of capitulation event off of a downtrend, which is exactly what we saw back here, right? Boom, the downtrend, the excitement, capitulation, back down to this key level, this key range. We found some support. We continued back to the top side. And so overall, as we are interacting with some very important levels, it is important to take note of the fact that realistically speaking, in terms of the big move in which we've been seeing since the end of summer, from swing high to swing low, we're just entering into our retracement box. One thing that we know about crypto is that as it's in an uptrend, as the price moves up, eventually, typically speaking, it will resort back down to its retracement levels between the 618 to 786 zone. And that is the level that absolutely has to hold. And so the way in which you find it is you take a Fibonacci from swing low up to swing high. And what you're going to do, if you want the settings, here you go. This is my settings right here. Once you establish these settings, you're going to have this green box, the 618 to 786 box. Now, this box right here is the level that as long as we're above it, we are not in a bearish reversal. As long as we are above this box or within this box, but not falling below this box, we are still okay to see continuation to the top side. The 618 to 786 level has served as the retracement level historically for decades. And so what we're seeing at the moment is the fact that from swing high to swing low on a macro scale, we are just at the box, not even remotely close to it. Realistically, even if we did come back down towards $37,000 and held this level, we could still see the continuation. Now, the loss of our most recent local low does make that more difficult, but it is still within the realm of possibility. So for a lot of the people who are saying this is it, this is death, this is the bear market, we're done, we're good, nothing realistically has said just yet that this is the end, that this is the moment that is going to absolutely tank crypto forever. Nothing has really said that just yet. And until we start to see that fall, right? Until we start to lose this 0.786 level on a macro scale Fibonacci, that then starts to say, okay, yeah, probably, maybe we're going to revisit 30K. And if we revisit 30K, can we maintain that? I mean, sure, we could put in a double bottom. So do we see something like that? Possible, but that becomes much less likely. So at the moment, as we're ranging still between the lows and the highs, I'm not too concerned. Still not too concerned. Now, remember, it's easy to freak out. It's easy to freak out. Like I told you guys, I say this I'm not trying to flex. I'm not trying to be, that guy. But at the end of the day, guys, I've lost dozens to tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars from point A to point B. Now, a lot of that was profit, right? A lot of my buys came back here. So this is still profit, but that doesn't change the fact that it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. But whenever you can see that amount go and you can still look at this thing and say, okay, we're still setting higher lows. We're still looking good. You look at something like the RSI, for example, and say that right now, as long as we are setting a high above this one, we're seeing bullish divergence, which looks like lower lows on the RSI, higher lows on the price. That still looks like a continuation event. Now, let me clarify something. Let me clarify something I just have to. I don't like correcting other YouTubers, but I can't help it. Okay. So I've been seeing a lot of talk and I've been seeing a lot of people mentioning the idea that we're still within Elliott's wave theory. Okay. And that there is still probably destined to be a fifth leg because that's how it works. And I hate to be the party pooper of the party, but that's not how Elliott's wave theory works. Okay. One of the most key and important aspects of Elliott's wave theory is that when you set wave number 1, that when you come back down for corrective wave number 4, you set it above wave 1. Okay. So for a lot of the YouTubers talking about wave 4, this being just wave 4, that's not true. Okay, I don't mean to be that guy, but I just had to take that out the water. That is not how Elliot's wave theory works. Are we still in an uptrend? Absolutely. But are we working within Elliot's wave theory right now? No, we're not. Okay, just to kind of put that out there. So overall, with what we're seeing right now in the market and with how things are reacting, is this something that I am extremely concerned about? No. What point will I be stressed? Probably if we come down under 39.5. That is the point where I would start to get concerned. If we start to get daily closes there, I would start to be like, okay, yeah, this is probably going to get pretty bad. Looking at this thing on a weekly perspective, where are we at? I wanted to mention this because people were laughing at me whenever I talked about this. Let's do a study on the Bollinger Bands really quickly, okay? So what we know about the Bollinger Bands, fake guru is telling us is because of taxes. But what we know about the Bollinger Bands, one thing we know about the Bollinger Bands is that what are they based off of? Well, they're based off of 2 standard deviations away from a moving average. What does that mean? Well, what that means is that we're going to set a moving average. This is our 20 simple moving average. What we're going to do is there's going to be a measurement taking, which is going to look like 2 standard deviations at all times away from that moving average, to the top side and to the bottom side. Now, what those 2 standard deviations are going to be are your blue bands on your Bollinger Band envelope. So you have your moving average, 2 standard deviations to the top, 2 standard deviations to the bottom. Now, one thing that we know whenever it comes to how these things work is that as we do move and as it does change and as the market does, kind of move around a little bit, let's make this blue. Let's make this one blue as well. One thing we know is that the price has a tendency to resort back to its moving average and interact with both sides of its Bollinger Bands. What that means is that if our price is right here and it touches the top, let's go here, and the price touches the top, right? Boom. Then we work our way back down and we start to fall and lose this 20 simple moving average. The likelihood is that unless we're able to immediately recapture that 20 simple moving average, we will resort to the bottom side of our Bollinger Bands. And then what gets interesting about it is that usually once you start to hit the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, whether or not you stay in it for a while, at some point it can only maintain 2 standard deviations away from a moving average for a set amount of time before resorting back to that moving average, meaning that if the price is touching this bottom Bollinger Band, eventually it's going to come back to it. Same thing top side. If it's up here, eventually it's going to come back down to it. And so we see a lot of the times these interactions with both sides. So let's see, how does that really apply to what we're seeing now? Well, what's interesting about what we're seeing right now is that as we have been seeing these moves, look how beautiful. We were extended for a very long time, a very, very long time, with the knowing we knew eventually we will resort to our moving average. Then at that point, we resorted back to the moving average. We lost the moving average. We pushed to the bottom side of our Bollinger Band envelopes. Well, then what happened from there? Well, realistically, we started to see a bit of a touch. We used that to resort back to the top side of our Bollinger Band envelope, back to our 20 simple moving average. We resorted back to it, broke to the top, established some support, continuation to the top. Then we crashed. And what I told people was that there is still the chance that we push to the bottom side within about 10 to 15% of this bottom side of the Bollinger Band envelope, since we lost this 20 simple moving average. And what you can see at the moment is that we're there. It does not always have to touch it directly. It can wick down to it, or it can come within 10 to 15%. And that is exactly where we are right now. So what we can see is that if we turn on our exponential moving averages, for example, let's just turn these on just to see what they're doing. We've lost some of them too. And so the kind of what I'm saying, whenever I'm referring to this right here about why we've been avoiding this, by the way, okay, is that you can see that we entered into the bearish territory a long time ago. As soon as we started coming down and losing that 20 simple moving average on that big wick after we were extended to the top side, we've been in bearish territory for a while already. I would argue and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks now. So whenever we're starting to see a bit of a fall and whenever we're starting to see things kind of go down, realistically, we've been in bearish territory. But that does not mean that this has to be death. As historically speaking, it's not done anything just yet to say that it is guaranteed to go to the bottom side. And so all of that to kind of just show you that where we're at right now is really not much different than where we were a month ago. where we're seeing the levels we're seeing right now really aren't that catastrophic just yet until we're below 40,000. That what the Fed said was bad in the short term in the sense of where the price of assets will go. But realistically, in the long term span of things, many can argue that it's quite beneficial to the long term, the longevity of the market. And so, although things may look ugly, and although things may look bad, and although things may feel bad, not much has changed. And I'm not trying to give you hopium because I'm telling you, we've been in bearish territory. I'm telling you, we're in bearish territory until we're above $52,000 on a daily close. I've been saying that for weeks. But has anything really changed today? No, not really. And so let me offer my opinion to you. My opinion to you is that eventually crypto will return to its idiotic glory of seeing ridiculous growth. It will eventually. Eventually, the economy is going to recover quite well. Eventually, we're going to see this thing kind of wear off, right? The biggest thing and the best thing that you can do at this given point, in my honest, humble truth opinion, is to sit back, stop staring at this shit all day long, and do some research that can help you apply yourself and get ready for whatever the future holds. Because I want to ask you something. Does realistically, when we think about what the metaverse offers, let's talk about the metaverse, right? What the metaverse offers to the world, the way in which we can see advertising being completely reestablished, the way in which we can see business meetings being reestablished, especially while we're in a dumbass pandemic, right? The way in which we can completely see a revolution in the way that modern day society interacts with each other, even further than what we've seen now. The way in which we could see even outside of the metaverse, in the way in which we can see gaming revolutionizing the gaming industry in the sense that players earn and own what they work for. The way in which we can see blockchain technology completely decentralizing certain aspects of the world that are extremely flawed to the point that they're holding back humanity. The things that we can see cryptocurrency do and the way that it can be applied to society. Does that change with this itty bitty ass fall in Bitcoin in the short term? No. No, it doesn't. It simply doesn't. And so if your whole goal here was to get in, make some money in the short term and get out, well, I got some news for you, buckaroo. Your ass is with us for a while. You're stuck because likelihood is we're not going to see the all-time high for a few weeks. We might not see it for a few months. We might not see it in this half of the year. So what it looks like is likelihood is, you're probably with us for a little while. You're probably stuck with this for a little bit. But what's phenomenal about it is that I hope that you're able to utilize this time in the market where you're starting to see these big falls and where you're starting to see a bit of capitulation, manipulation, and all the bullshit that comes with crypto. I hope you start to educate yourself on why this can be something that's just not just a get rich quick and get out thing. Now, many people have, but there are many, there's so much more buried behind it. And there's so much more that under the surface that I would tell as many of you as I possibly can to use this time to increase your research. Because when the time comes for this to go, it's going to go. And you need to be ready. So overall, my thoughts. Let me sum this up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at some individual cryptos. Okay. We're going to be on live for who knows how long. Frick, we're going to have a good time. My overall thoughts is that this is nothing new. My overall thoughts is that what's happening in the economy is necessary for the long-term growth of the world. And that realistically, unless you're like at 80 and trying to like get your money out like soon, you have time to wait. I know it feels like you don't. And I know everyone's like, I want my money now. I want to be rich now, which you shouldn't be chasing that in that way. But anyway. Realistically speaking, we all have the time, and it is a matter of time. I think everyone in here can agree that Bitcoin will eventually reach $100,000. I'm not talking about when. I'm not talking about how. It's or if. I'm not talking about if. I'm not talking about how. I'm talking about when. Eventually, it will do it. And so the best thing that you can do in times where it's not exciting is to understand there is a reason why the richest, most wealthy investors aren't the ones who were in here. They're not the ones who were in here. Some might have been here. I want you to go on YouTube and I want you to go look at Lark Davis, Crypto Banter, Altcoin Daily, BitBoy. I hate some of them, BitBoy, for example. But I want you to go look at when they started their YouTube channels. back here, back here, back here, some back here. And what it tells us is that, sure, we might want growth now. We may want growth now, sure. But realistically, the biggest and most profitable and the wealthiest people in this entire world, in the terms of crypto, are built in times like these. Why? Because when shit gets exciting, they already know what they're doing. Think about the home run, or not the home run, the head start you would have had on the market. That if you'd have bought here, for example, or if you'd have started to educate yourself while things are ugly, how you could have taken advantage of this growth. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I think about it. If when things are bad and things are not looking good and things aren't having fun, well, I'm using the time that we're in this to educate myself. Because what happens is when you're in this, you're going to make some dumb ass decisions, right? But if you're well prepared and you're super as knowledgeable about it as you possibly can be leading up to that, you can take advantage of these entire runs that we see with not with experience, obviously, as we're seeing these falls and stuff. But like, what's the best word? Rationality. Okay. And so overall, when it comes to this, the best thing to do right now, this is financial advice. Fuck you to the IRS. This is financial advice, or the SEC. Do some research. That's my financial advice to you. As a non-financial advisor, do some research and educate yourselves, because it's not always going to be bad. And when it's good, you're not going to want to. You're not going to have time. You're going to think you're a genius. That's my answer. So whenever it comes to what we're seeing in the market, not very concerned. What we're seeing in the long term will be beneficial. And so whenever we start to see people spreading these words of, oh my God, this is it, this is the end, I want you to look past the bullshit, okay? Because that's what it is. Now, we'll think, can things get bad? Sure they can. Can Bitcoin go back to 20K? Sure it can. But we're not there yet. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and just try to make as much freaking AdSense clickbait money as I can telling you that things are going to zero, because it's just bullshit, okay? So overall, no need to panic just yet. We've still not technically confirmed a bearish reversal here. We're still sitting on top of key support level. We're in a capitulation event, and we're going to let this thing play out, and I'll keep you guys up to date. So we're going to jump in the chat. We're going to go ahead. We're going to answer some questions because I've not been on here for a second. And then I'm going to jump into some individual cryptos. We're going to look at DOT. We're going to look at Link. We're going to look at Solana, maybe Ethereum, maybe Bitcoin dominance. We're going to do that, but we're going to jump into the chat for 5 minutes, and I want to talk to you guys because I missed you. Dude, it's not near till Bitcoin closed below 40. Exactly. And I know I used to not cuss, and I used to be a lot more professional. And I'm sorry, but sometimes you just got to say some shit. And at the end of the day, I'm just saying what I got to say. You know, is it going to stop some people from sponsoring my channel? Sure. Hey, sometimes we just got to let it out. Sometimes you just got to say how you feel, and that's how I feel. So what's up? What's up? What's up in the chat? What's up? What's up? What's up? Where's a good place to start to learn the TA? YouTube. I tell people all the time, as crazy as it sounds, that technical analysis is best learned watching videos of it. You have to be able to see it in real. You have to be able to see it in action. Okay. M content, love them. Cuss out makes you more real compared to BitBoy. I didn't mean to say I hate BitBoy earlier. You know, that's not like a very crowd pleasing statement. I just cannot stand him. Dude, what about Cardano? Yeah, Cardano's definitely seeing a bit of a pullback, one that I wasn't expecting, but one that has become more justifiable over time for sure. That bop on the nose brought out some Tyler. Yeah, dude, I got socked last night in training. What do you think about 44,250 each time it touches it? It flies. Yeah. I'm not sure. We'll just have to see how this whole thing plays out. I've been subbed for a month now, and honestly, you're the best content realistic one. I'm trying to be as real as I can. I apologize that sometimes I do clickbait my videos a little. Just understand that's the name of the game, right? If I just put the title was like today we're looking at Bitcoin, I might not get that many views, and I need to continue to increase my outreach. Okay, it's a business, damn it. So I got to do what I got to do, but I try not to overdo it. So I hope you guys don't mind too much. What is the best app to use for investing? FTX is my favorite at this point. Coinbase as well. What do you think about AVAX? I just did a YOLO long 96 all in. Why would you do that? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. We'll look at that in a second. We got to see where this daily close happens. Um, you're my favorite. You're my favorite clickbait. I'm sorry. Okay. You and Lark. Lark is legendary status. I hope to be on his level one day. Not watched you before, but I like your style. Well, welcome to the channel. I hope I don't insult you or do anything because I tend to say some crazy shit. Why don't you talk about SafeMoon anymore? SafeMoon. So let me address that. Sure. So I still get questions. Again, we're gonna jump into some more TA in a second here. Just taking a break. One reason I don't talk about SafeMoon is because SafeMoon I'm not very interested in right now, and I know that's gonna be like what? I know a lot of people are not gonna like that, but I don't think the best thing to be doing right now is focusing on microcap altcoins. And that's why you're seeing Gem Finders really not around right now. That's why you're seeing me focus on top 15, top 10 altcoins, because I knew this was a risk. I've been saying it. You notice the correlation between me not talking about microcaps and this wick. Once we saw this wick, I said the market might trend down. And if you're in microcaps, you might get crushed. And so a lot of my focus recently hasn't been on microcaps. A lot of my focus has been on other things. And my channel completely revolves around my focus and my interest. And that's selfish. I'm totally aware of that. And I'm totally self-accepting that that is a very selfish thing to do. But at the end of the day, my content will only be as good as it can be if I'm talking about the things I'm focused on. Because if I'm making content about things I'm not tuned into or focused on, I'm not going to provide the best opinion, and I might not be as knowledgeable as I need to be to give you an opinion that you might, for some reason, base your own opinion around. That's my opinion there. Okay. Okay, make some in-depth tutorials on all tools and techniques you're using. It'd be really helpful. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't like to plug it a lot because I love our little small community, but I do all that in Patreon. Okay. Yeah, people won't listen. End of the world. What's up, yo? Long time no see. Thoughts on Matic? I still love Matic in the long term. What do you think this drop will do to NFTs? Those are also mostly bought with crypto. We'll have to see. Really, I've not really paid attention to the NFT space throughout crashes to kind of see how it interacts, but I can't imagine it's going to have a crazy effect. If you were new to crypto and you had 1K only, what would you put it in? Robo Doge. I'm joking. I'm kidding. I need to stop picking at that, but I can't help it. When to know when to pull out profits? I use a few different strategies to pull out profits, but a good rule of thumb is when you feel like you're smart, it's time to start taking profits. And when you feel like you're dumb, it's time to start buying. that's the best thing. But a few indicators and a few tools I do use to learn pulling profits is definitely the Bollinger Bands. When we're extended into the Bollinger Bands, historically speaking, that has served as decent times to pull, as well as the loss of major support levels. That can always serve as some counteraction against falling downtrends. But other than that, yeah. So pulling profits, there's a lot to go into it. It's not really a question that we can answer, and more of a rapid fire thing because we only got a minute or two left before I get into some specific cryptos here. I genuinely would have to agree. I would have to agree. I think that NFTs have gotten I would say that NFTs have gotten probably a little bit out of hand, especially with all of the mania we're seeing from like athletes and things. I think they'll always be around, but I think the hype behind them is going to slow down inevitably. My mom is in the chat. She says, take my word, he cannot focus when he isn't interested. She knows. I dropped out of college for a reason. I think Solana could hit $500 at some point. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into some charts. Okay, let's talk a little bit about individual cryptos. We are going to start with Total 2. Okay. So what is Total 2? Total 2 is the total accumulation of all market caps of cryptos, excluding Bitcoin. What that means is that this is going to be the total market caps of every single cryptocurrency on Earth, just not Bitcoin, because who likes Bitcoin, right? So one thing that I'm picking up on here, just kind of looking at this, is there may be the establishment of some type of trend here, which could be interesting, right? I mean, something to think about. That could be a key support level. Chill out, Sebastian. Jesus. Look at this guy. Anyway, so what we're seeing right now is that we are still in a downtrend on total two. Okay. Now, total two is one of my favorite indicators because what it tells me is it's easy to look at Solana and ADA and BNB and all these things, but I like looking at total two because it gives you a kind of a big picture of what the market's doing. Okay. And what we can see is that we're still not doing we're as big of a fall as today felt with some pretty relatively not the best news in the short term for crypto, right? And assets in general. Realistically, what we're seeing is still the maintenance of and the ability to be able to maintain within this triangle in which we've been in. And so what this kind of tells me is that it's nothing extraordinary. What we saw today was nothing extraordinary. Now, one thing that we did invalidate, which kind of sucked, was this cup and handle pattern. We did have that forming, which looked like it could have saw a break. We did invalidate that. So it's always something to think about that we did invalidate a possibly bullish pattern. So that does have a bearish what's the best word? Bearish kind of implications for it. But again, we are still here. Okay. Based off of our trends on a logarithmic scale, we are still within this key level of support. Now, whenever we look at this thing from a long-term perspective, still, we can also see as well that in terms of higher highs and higher lows, we set the higher high. We are still setting higher lows where we are. In that same time frame, we've come down on our RSI to set a low and a lower low. So what that tells us is that right now, we are still seeing the bullish divergence on the bottom side. What that tells us is that as we are starting to see this move, we could see growth. What that tells us even further that we set a low, we set a lower low, we set a low, we're still at a higher low. So if we do start to reverse right here, we could see bullish divergence in the short term. That could lead us enough. This could be a capitulation event before a rocket. It could be. I don't know. It could be, though. But all of these things to say that it's not crushing the market. What we saw today isn't anything that's crushing the market yet. So overall, total two is still looking pretty healthy. It is looking pretty dang on healthy. And someone named Ozzy Perez, the homie, says to smash that like button because we're right at 200 likes. And I know we're going to hit 200 by the time I look again. And if we don't, I'm going to have a temper tantrum. So there's that. Anyway, so looking at total three, when we go ahead and we exclude Ethereum, one thing we can also see is that, yeah, I mean, we're still seeing a bit of a consolidation within this range in which we're in. Some people call this, a head and shoulders pattern, which is valid. That's definitely a valid concern. I don't see it playing out, but it is possible. Okay, it is definitely possible at the loss of these levels. But realistically, on a macro scale, we are still setting higher highs. Okay, we are still setting higher highs. So it's all our higher highs, boom, here, and higher lows. So until we start to come down to invalidate these, we're still looking okay, right? We need to see this thing fall below $722 billion before I start to get extremely concerned, okay? So in terms of what we're seeing right here, still looking pretty damn phenomenal, okay? Bitcoin dominance is interesting, okay? So let's look at how this is kind of played out. Let's look at how this is played out because it's very interesting, okay? So what is Bitcoin dominance? What is Bitcoin dominance? Bitcoin dominance is going to be a comparison and a ratio of the performance of Bitcoin to altcoins. Basically, the amount of control, the market cap control of the total crypto market cap that Bitcoin has in relation to other altcoins. What does that mean? That basically means that if the total market cap of crypto is 100, okay? Oh my gosh. Listen, bruh. Y'all gonna stop simping on my mom in the chat. But but what does it mean? What is Bitcoin dominance? Well, basically speaking, if the total market cap of cryptos is 100 and Bitcoin's market cap is 50 and the total market cap of other altcoins is 50, Bitcoin dominance is 50%. So what this means at 39.72% is that as Bitcoin has 39.72% total control of the market itself, the altcoins hold about 60.28% or something like that. And so what this tells us is that as this continues lower, it shows that our altcoins are still outperforming Bitcoin. And what's interesting is that even before today's fall, even through the uncertainty, even as there was all of these lingering thoughts of a bear market, we set a lower low. And so what's fun about that is the thought that even as from the beginning of last year through the middle of last year, that we were starting to see a bit of this consolidation in which it's a battle. Bitcoin's up, altcoins up, Bitcoin's up, altcoins up. We're still seeing gradually that Bitcoin is having less and less and less and less success against altcoins. Now, what's interesting about that is that there's been so many things that have freaked people out. We have the Evergrande bullshit that happens every few months that people for some reason freak out about. We also have all of the weird news like the tapering events and all that. We've had 3 variants come out, or 2 variants, 2 DLCs dropped, 2 remixes dropped since this. And Bitcoin, which is the fucking stable one, allegedly, is still getting outperformed by altcoins that are much more risky. So what does that tell me? Well, what that tells me is that times are evolving. What that tells me is that these big crashes in which we see some of these alts drop 95%, maybe they're just not coming. Maybe, just maybe, they're just not coming. Because people are still faithful in altcoins. What we're noticing within this world is that people are starting to realize the effects, and people are starting to realize the application that certain altcoins have, the things Ethereum can do, the things that the accessibility that is provided from NFTs in terms of metaverse and gaming. So whenever you see something like Solana, which is kind of a shitty blockchain in comparison to other ones, but it's being so it's providing such a strong amount of the things we need in order for NFTs. When you see the application that NFTs have, the blockchain that's providing them and giving them that platform is growing substantially still. And so people are realizing that these real world use cases are real world use cases. And that's leading us to still see them doing well, even when there's uncertainty. And that's so intriguing to me. Because what does that mean for the long term? I think that means for the long term that we have finally got to a point where we can say, we're here to stay. I would say we're probably here to stay. And nothing feels better than knowing that, okay? So, Bitcoin dominance set a lower low, which is always good. Now at this given point, all it needs to do is just set a lower high. It could bounce all the way up here. Bitcoin could absolutely take off, and we set this higher low, but at some point, we're likely going to see something like this, which looks like an altcoin season. I think it's going to happen because of the faith that we've seen clearly in the market in altcoins, okay? Watch your language, mom's in the house. Yeah, she's gonna fuss at me. It's all good though. It happens. She knows I'm passionate. This is my life. But anyway, looking at the Ethereum Bitcoin pair, another interesting thing happening here. We are still seeing growth. So even as we are seeing uncertainty, it has been consistent that Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin for almost 2 years. Almost 2 years now. No, more than 2 years. 2 years and 4 months. 2 years and 4 months that we've seen Ethereum consistently outperforming Bitcoin, which ties into the idea that altcoins are developing real world utility. Always intriguing. Always intriguing. I love to see that. So what does this market tell me is that we're here. Bitcoin can continue to fall. Bitcoin can go down. Bitcoin can go down to retest some of these lows. But what we can see is that the big picture says that even if for some reason we do come back down here, are we realistically seeing anything that worrying? Because the long term does seem bright. And we can see not only the adoption of altcoins and the adoption of crypto in the real world, we can look at charts and statistically show how that's happening and prove it. That's so exciting. So exciting. So I'm kind of talking out loud right now, honestly. I'm not really talking about much, but you can see why I'm not very phased. You can see why I'm not very worried about what the market's doing, because the long-term picture is still beautiful. It's still beautiful. Now, you guys know that I'm not the one that gives hopium on YouTube. I said this morning that Chainlink was getting overextended, and it's now started to pull back a little bit because of the market. So I ain't a guru, but I said this morning that Chainlink was going to probably be a little bit too overextended, and that it'd likely see some type of pullback, and that I wouldn't be buying it while the price is flying. All the other YouTubers right now are seeing that it's up 50% and telling all of their subscribers to go buy it because that's what they want to hear. I'm not the one to sit here and tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I think you need to hear as your non-financial advisor, of course. But the long term, the big picture, even without spreading hopium, is that the big picture is beautiful. And what we're seeing now, really that bad. It's really not that bad. Okay. Yeah, I'm down a lot. A lot of people are down a lot. We're all kind of seeing a little bit of hurt. It's going to make you appreciate the idea of taking profits. Promise you that. So, anyway, so overall, looking at total 1, 2, 3 and Bitcoin dominance, all of these look fine. Let's jump in Solana because a lot of people were looking at Solana. Let's go ahead and see what this thing's doing. So, what do we have from Solana right now? Well, we have from Solana a lower low. So what we know is that the possibility of this, this pattern playing out in which we see a breakout to the top side continuation into some relatively it's a relatively short-term growth. It's probably out the picture. What this means is that since we've lost this key level and this possible bullish pennant, since it's kind of being invalidated at this point, I think there is the possibility that now it is much more of a long game, and this is something that's going to take a lot more time than maybe the next week. I don't see Bitcoin hitting its new all-time high in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, not even 6 weeks. And I think that's also going to be replicated by alts at this point. I think this fall here has kind of showed us that. Okay. And so, can you explain why you say Solana sucks? I don't mean Solana sucks, but Solana, in comparison to some other blockchains, is definitely, it gets outperformed, but their name carries them a long way. For example, Solana had a game come out, SolChicks. I was invested into it. SolChicks came out, crashed Solana for like a day. Solana is not very decentralized, which kind of does take away from some of the fundamental beliefs for crypto. Just things like that kind of make people a little bit wary about it. I think Solana is great in that they provide exactly what's needed, but I do believe over time other blockchains can come out that have better performances. So that's kind of my opinion on Solana. I love Solana. I will continue to hold Solana and talk about Solana on my channel because I do like them, but that is my honest opinion there. Okay. So what do we start to do with this thing? Well, I think we have to kind of reevaluate it. I think with Solana, we got to kind of reevaluate it now. So, of course, we do still have our highs. These are incredibly important. And maybe we have to start looking at this thing from much more of a long-term perspective. Because in this sense, we are still in a downtrend. Now, I'm under the belief likelihood is we're going to bounce at some point soon. You guys know we are extended outside the bottom side of our Bollinger Band envelope. What that means is that we have now tested the bottom. So at any given point, we could see a bit of a pullback in the market, back up here somewhere. But realistically, I would say this is the new thing we have to evaluate. This is a lot more long term. This could have months and months and months rather than another few weeks like we originally saw here. And I think we need to start to look a little bit more long term in terms of what Solana is doing here. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to revamp. We have been invalidated on the symmetrical triangle, and we just need to accept that. And now we need to start looking at this from more of a we really have to look at this from a long-term perspective. And that looks like something like this. Mind you, this could go and just freaking go. And it could. But at the end of the day, we're not here to try to change the market. We're here to adapt to the market. When the market moves, we will figure it out. Okay. That's my whole goal. So with Solana at the moment, would I be buying? Absolutely not. Okay. What do I think could happen? Looking at our Bollinger Bands, the overextension we're seeing, I think there's a chance we're going to see a bit of recovery, maybe back up towards this like 165 level and maybe like range a little bit before possibly continuing and retesting these wick lows like we have a tendency to do. Of course, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I wouldn't be buying unless I'm doing a short-term trade. The only thing I would be doing if I'm buying is a short-term trade from like here, maybe up to like 160, like a 3 or 4% gain. I definitely think that's possible, but I wouldn't personally be doing any mass accumulations right now because again, we are still in a downtrend. Just because it's red doesn't mean to buy it. Okay. Let me say that one more time, just in case it didn't resonate. Just because it's red doesn't mean to buy it. Just because it's red, or red doesn't mean to buy it. The best time to take advantage of dips is when we're out of them. I know that sounds crazy. Let me explain. So whenever I see this happening, let me ask you something. Do you want to buy here with this being a possibility, or here with that being a possibility, or that with this being a possibility? Or would you rather draw yourself out a trend line, look at this thing from a perspective of, okay, I don't know when it is going to break out. So I don't really want to be just buying while I'm stuck in a downtrend. And so you wait for a breakout of this, and then you see like a back test of support, which says that we have escaped the downtrend and the realm of possibilities is more favored towards us. and then you start looking to get in with growth, just because you missed out on the gain from here to here, you also could have been worried about missing out on a gain from right here and still went down. Okay. So my whole game plan with this thing is that when the realm of possibilities is not in my favor because we are in a descending wedge or we're in a downtrend, I'm not buying. I'm only wanting to buy when the realm of possibilities is in my favor. I only want to buy when the realm of possibility says it is more likely we go up since we backtested support than it is we go back below it. Okay. So just because it's red doesn't mean to throw your money into it. Because if you'd have did that back here or here or here or here or here, or better yet, let me kind of make this a little bit more dramatic. Right? You could have did it. Let's get a little overdone here. Could have did it here or here or here or here or maybe here, possibly here or there. I think you get what I'm saying. Okay. Just because it's red doesn't mean to buy. Confirmations means purchases for me. Because I'm not a financial advisor, I can't tell people what to do, but that has not failed me yet. Okay. So just because it's red doesn't mean to buy. So whenever it comes to Solana, what I'm looking at now is this. When do we break? When do we start to break? Now, if we start to see something happen like this, right, in which we go down, we do this, then we set a cup line, then we set a cup, boom, like the cup and handle pattern, and then we break out. Sure, I might take on a trade from here to here, but I'm taking profits until we get out from over this. So I may swing trade these moves, but I'm not doing mass accumulating until we get out of a downtrend. I would never tell someone buy. Okay, let me ask you this. Let me put it in a different light. If you're going to go buy a new car and the prices of cars are steadily falling, are you going to buy that car? Probably not. If I told you you can either buy that car today or maybe next week or the next 2 weeks because the trajectory of the price is down, you would probably wait, right? It's the same shit. It's the same exact thing. You get what I'm saying? It's not about just buy in just because. It's about get in on buys that are justifiable to the point that you're not stressed out every time you press buy. It's that if we break out and you catch yourself a nice little buy or a swing trade right here and you catch yourself 2 nice buys throughout this whole little thing and the price does fall, you look back at that buy and say, damn, that was a good buy. And we could have seen some growth from that. The realm of possibilities gave me a friggin' 60% chance of seeing growth here, but it just so happened that it wasn't the move I was looking for. I take that loss and I use that and add it to my experience as an investor and as a trader to learn from it, to see where I went wrong and how I can correct it in the future, rather than just buying it right here because your favorite YouTuber gets paid to tell you to buy shit. That's what I think. That's what I think, at least. What the fuck do I know? But that's what I think. So overall, my opinion here is not just to be buying just because it's red, but to allow this thing to play out, allow for confirmations. Confirmations confirm that it could be a justifiable entry. Justifiable entries are the right entries because not will you always be right, but you can justify that purchase and learn from that purchase rather than saying, damn, I shouldn't have bought it right here because of whatever reason it was that you bought it. Okay. That's it. I'm feeling spicy today. So, Solana, that's what I'm looking for. This is the move I'm looking for. I will probably do some small swing trades in here or something of that nature, but no mass accumulation until we're out of this downtrend. Let me stop being overexcited and let me start spitting facts. Okay, so Uniswap, again, we are still looking for the daily close above $18.80. Of course, we are still within the territory of seeing some type of cup and handle pattern. And so with Uni, unless we re-enter into our downtrend here and we close, around the $16.50 level, I'm really not too interested in Uni at that point if we lose this bottom side here. But if we are going to see Uni clear above 1880, get a daily close there, I will start to look to add that position. Okay. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. Looking at Dot. What's Dot gotten up to? Okay, so this is interesting, right? So one thing that we talked about with Dot is we drew out this level and we said at 31.24, that was a time in which we'd be looking to buy. And what happened is that we didn't get any daily closes above it, and so we didn't get those confirmations that we're looking for. And then from there, we saw Dot see the pullback. And that is a great example of why our confirmations are so important. Because you could have said, well, we're at We're at $30.89. Like, that's good enough. No, it ain't. We didn't get the daily close where we needed it to, and then we saw the pull. Now, what's interesting with Dot is that Dot is holding this damn support level like crazy, dude. I mean, Dot does not want to let go. Dot is like, I am holding on for dear life. And so realistically with Dot right now, we're just going to go ahead and give it this. And it's a beautiful thing is that we have our 31 and 24 level, and then we have this key level of support. And we're just going to wait to see how this plays out. Again, right now, I'm waiting. I'm not doing anything. I don't have any reason to be buying because I could have bought here and here and here and here and here, and that would have just led me here. No, I just realistically rather, I picked up an entry here and I picked up maybe one entry here. We saw some beautiful growth. We broke even at this buy that we had here because we did see the breakout to the top side. We were up like 10, 15% on this short-term trade right here, but it didn't go our way in the long term, which is totally okay. And so now at this point, it's like, okay, well, let's look for the next confirmation. What are we looking for? Boom. I'm looking for $31.24 to be cleared. And I'm not stressing realistically about Dot until we go down here to 23.74. If we lose 23.74, likelihood is we do continue down to the downside, likely towards $20. So until then, nothing to be too concerned about. Nothing to be concerned about. Okay, right. Let's look at Chainlink. Chainlink's awesome. We talked about Chainlink, right? Yep, I talked about Chainlink this morning, made a video on them, not really going to focus too heavy on that one. So we got to reevaluate Ethereum. So on Ethereum, I'm still looking and tracking this long-term move, 618786, and as you can see, we are finally here. So on Ethereum, what I noticed is that it has a tendency, thanks for your input, JGB Renovations with a $5 donation. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And so what we can see is that Ethereum is now coming down into its key retracement zone between 31 and $3,400. And realistically, as sucky as it is, and as much as you don't want to hear it, as long as we are above these levels, there's not really that much to worry about. We made a big move to the upside. We saw a Fibonacci extension. We're coming back down to backtest support. That's what these things do. Okay. We look at something like this move here, right? Look at beautiful. I mean, it's just as easy as this. Swing high, swing low. Clearing of the 786. Look at the 786 level. Look at the importance so you can understand it to the downside too. We come up, 618786. We immediately find some resistance. The only time we found resistance is when we got to this zone. That shows its importance. Resistance, breakout to the upside. Clear the 1.272. Clear the 1.618. Find resistance at the 1.618, fall back down. We start interacting here. And now that we saw a Fibonacci extension to the upside, we are seeing a retracement, a healthy retracement at that to the downside. That's what these things do. That's textbook. I mean, that is about as textbook as it gets. Roberta, good night. So anyway, it's textbook and it's okay. And that is what this thing does. And there's no need to stress out about it because in hindsight's 2020, so many people say, man, I wish I'd have bought right here. I wish I'd have bought right here whenever we started to see these breakouts. And then we're going to see a breakout to the top side up here. And then people are going to be like, no, I don't know. This might not be the one. This just doesn't sound like the one to me. And the next thing you know is that freaking 6K. And then they're like, we retrace back to 3,100 and everyone's saying Ethereum's going to $100. Breaks to the upside, goes to 6K. And they're like, no, I don't think that looks like a bull run. So what we're seeing right now is it's not that bad. Okay, we're coming back down to general levels. We're all losing money right now for investing in crypto. We're all in the same boat. And so what that means for us is we sit back, we allow it, we watch this thing and understand that right now, as Ethereum has come down to set a lower low, it could at any point go as low as $3,100. That is just the truth. Okay, that is just what it is. Okay, now if we lose that level, then we have to start looking at 2638. We have to start looking at lower levels. But realistically, until then, we're fine. We're still sitting above a key support level, and that's all that matters realistically. In terms of when I would be looking to buy some Ethereum, it would have to get above this general trend it's in. We would have to see a local high. The new local high is at $3,900. So I need to see an Ethereum at like $4,000 before I would do any type of mass accumulating, simply for the fact that obviously we're in a downtrend still. Okay. Yeah, Ottoman Fighter, I would say that's fair. I would definitely say that's fair. Tyler Unhinged Live. I literally just stopped trying to be as professional. Like, I'm not very professional in life. Like, I'm pretty idiotic sometimes. Like, I just like to be myself. And I tried. I was like, people aren't gonna want to sponsor my channel, or people might find it attractive if I just say crazy stuff. I don't care, dude. I'm gonna just say what I think, and is what it is. Hopefully it works. If it don't, it's all good. Looking at Avalanche. Avalanche is still holding up well, honestly. Avalanche is one of those ones that I have been a little bit hesitant on. I've not really been wanting to do too much. The biggest reason being because of the over, we were seeing this general uptrend here. We're seeing a general downtrend here. That divergence is kind of 50-50 in a way because it's bearish on the top and bullish on the bottom. And so it kind of was one of those ones that I just didn't really want to do too much with. And so with Avalanche, personally speaking, if I'm going to be buying some Avalanche, I'm going to need to see this interaction happen. Thank you. Okay, cool. So looking at Avalanche personally, this is kind of the setup I'm looking at right now. I would definitely want to see I would want to see a breakout here before I got a little bit too excited. Remember, I was looking, I told you guys that we wanted to see 123, and I was a little bit off with where I thought the wick resistance would be. But we talked about $123 on a daily close that it needed to be above it, and we didn't get that. We didn't get above the line here, and which was obviously right here. This was that last close, that up there. And we needed to see it. We came up to it. We didn't get above it. We immediately fell. And so that still does stand. I want to see if we're able to break there. If we can break here, I'm looking to get in, but until then, I'm not very excited. One colony or colony. What's up, dude? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tyler Unhinged. Is that my new name? Is that going to be my new name on live? Because now I have dude. I got 100-foot friggin' Ethernet cord, dude. No, you want to hear something stupid real quick while we are kind of talking? So I went get a 100-foot Ethernet cord because I couldn't find mine, and then literally, I get home, open my garage in a cabinet, my Ethernet cord. I just went buy a new one, and when I got home from buying a new one, I found the other one. That's some Tyler Hill luck. Anyway, so yeah, when it comes to AVAX, I'm looking for 123. I'm looking for that push above it. If we do continue to the downside, optimally speaking, we do hold this long-term level of support. That's been in action for about 5 months now. Okay, we've kind of seen this level hold. I'd like to see it hold again. That's optimal. If we can hold it, that's going to be a good possible push to the upside. If we do start getting signs of some type of reversal here, I may take on a short-term trade for like 20% up to this key level. And more honestly, it may realistically be this. It may look like it. We're gonna give it this. We're gonna go with 2 key levels of resistance. We have the downward sloping level of resistance, and then we have that 123 level. I may be doing a bit of a swing trade from here to here if this holds. It's not guaranteed, obviously. It's too early to tell. But if it holds, we may look for some type of swing there. But likelihood is my mass accumulating when I would do a lot more buying would have to be daily closes above 123. That would be the move I need. Okay. Phantom's doing pretty good, right? Phantom is showing signs of slowing down. My honest opinion on Phantom, and this is going to bite me in the ass because every time I say this, I have a tendency to be a little off. I would personally, if you bought Phantom somewhere around these levels, I think now's a good pull profits time, a little bit at least. The reason being, look at your Bollinger Bands, fully extended into them. It's going against the market right now. RSI extremely overbought right now with also seeing a lacking of bearish divergence still. So it could go up a little bit more, but I don't know about that. But we are seeing bearish divergence in the sense of, where we set these previous highs up here. We're at that same level on the RSI. So we've not really completed that yet. So Phantom, personally speaking, my average is up here. So I'm going to ladder a little bit out. I'm going to free up a little bit of cash because I rode it all the way down here. I just want to free up a little bit of cash. But personally speaking, like, bought here and you're up 100+%, I think pulling a little bit of profits makes a lot of sense. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have a license in this, but that's my opinion. Okay. So yeah, there's that. Okay, looking at Super Farm, we talked about that one recently, and same with Engine. Engine's kind of one of those ones I'm just holding on to because I like it a lot. And I'm really not too concerned unless we drop 218. As long as we're above 218, I'm really not all that worried. But I definitely want to see if I'm purchasing that we're able to break trend topside, which looks like a move back up. At this point towards like $3 or something like that. But this is kind of the setup that I'm looking for on Ends right now. What Bitcoin making a bounce yet? Is it? No, not yet. Kind of, but not really. Solana, BNB, really not all too concerned with BNB right now. Don't really know too much about Rune anymore. Looking at VeChain, VeChain's one that I was excited about for the start of the year, is one that I'm very I still think has that potential to see some great growth. And kind of looking at this thing, one thing that I like to track, let's see. So it did see a breakout to the downside here, which isn't terrible, but kind of looking at VeChain, I just like where it's at. It did see a pretty strong retracement. I think we have recovered. So VeChain is kind of like teetering around the 786 level right now, and it's struggling to recapture it. So personally speaking, I would go ahead and say a new local low on VeChain. If we drop 747.747, 0.0747, sorry. If we drop that, the likelihood is we could see a push towards the 6 area, like towards this little area for some type of greater ABC correction of this nature. And so with that, I definitely would be paying pretty close attention to this key support level here. Just local lows and local highs. It's as simple as that. Okay. Mana has seen a pretty strong fall. Oh my goodness. Look at this name. Top 3 metaverse coins to research. Definitely Engine, I would say, is a great one. I've really been liking I'm trying to think if I had to put it in the top 3. Probably the biggest ones. I would say like Sandbox and to kind of throw a fun one in there, maybe like I like Vulcan Forge. Vulcan Forge is a good one. I know they had problems though. They got hacked and everything. Oh, look at that break to the downside right in Apex. It's crazy. Let's look at ADA. Okay, so let's talk about ADA. Okay, what is ADA doing? So ADA is still maintaining, right? I mean, we're still kind of on top of the support level right now. It has this level at 119. It does not want to lose. So we're going to get rid of this. And we're going to get rid of that. I don't really need you. Goodbye. So the thing about ADA right now is with ADA, okay, so again, we are still seeing this level hold. It's something there, right? So that level is holding still, but it does look like we're at it now. And so realistically, I would definitely not be buying ADA personally until we started to see some more upside confirmations. The best way to look for an upside confirmation to me, as simple as this is going to sound, is that the biggest confirmation that ADA gives is when it sets the local highs. Once it sets a local high, it's going to go. Okay. And right now, we finally have more of a macro high. Oops. We have more of a macro high, which is, oh man, I have the chart so small. Why didn't y'all, dude. Okay. Looking at ADA, looking at this thing, I would like to see this thing at least work its way back up here towards this level. If it starts to fall below 119, wouldn't even remotely consider buying it until it starts to work its way back up. But if it does start to reverse here, I'm looking for some type of W bottom to, oh boy. Whew. Anyway, looking for some type of double bottom to form here, but it is all extremely dependent on if 119 holds. If 119 does fail to hold, likelihood is we're going to see that push towards $1. Okay, I would say it's very strong likelihood. Looking at VPVR for confirmation, you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. That kind of puts us right towards this cliff. So if we start to fall here, we have one more VPVR peak at 110, and then we're at 103. So I would go ahead and say that we have like 110 and 103 under that. So I definitely would say that if we lose 119 on a daily close, it's likely going to continue down to the bottom side, and I wouldn't be doing any buying just yet. Thank you, Federico. Yeah, no, I know. I never look at the screen. I'm sorry. Lo siento. Okay. What are we looking at? Matic. Let's do a Matic. Okay, so I don't want to be like that guy, but there have been 3 occasions on my channel where I've said to take profits on Matic. 1, 2, and 3. These are our 3 take profits levels on the channel, and they have served beautifully well. I took 40 or 30% profits off of Matic in the Patreon up here. Once we did get extended outside of this, we were also extended on our Bollinger bands. Said this is a good take profits level. Took profits off of Matic and put it into Link, and then Link went up 20%. That was a fantastic trade. But Matic is still within the bottom side of this channel. So actually, what's going to happen for me now is that since we've hit the bottom side, I'm going to try to swing it again. So I've been swinging from bottom side support to top side resistance. And so looking at Matic with this, I'm going to go ahead and give it some type of nice little trend line there and say that if bottom side support can hold and we start to see this move, we could see another little break to the top side looking like some type of move of 30+%, maybe, possibly, who knows, something similar to that, maybe up to 275. And so I definitely will be looking to try to swing Matic if we do see support hold here and we get this break of trend. Okay, that's the game plan with Matic. That's what I'd like to do. It does seem as if we revisited our key Fibonacci zone. We did. Look how beautiful. And we are trying to establish support on top of it as we speak. So we're on that 618786. Can we stay above $2? Can we hold it? Can we continue to the top side? If we see that break of trend there, I'm definitely gonna pick up some more Matic. For sure, for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. Please make the chart bigger. Juan must be a little bit behind because I don't think I can make this any bigger. Looking at Luna. Luna is another one I took profits off of on December 23rd, which was right here. So we took profits off of it on December 23rd right here, and it has seen a bit of a bit of a pull to the downside, and I think this is definitely just, and I think it needed to happen. But what we can see is a pretty cool little a pretty cool descending wedge forming right now, right? In which we see something like this. And so what I would go ahead and say is like, as long as we're within this, definitely looking okay. But I wouldn't be buying it until we can see the trend break to the upside, okay? Because it may start to establish some type of long-term trend here, and there's no point in trying to buy it right now while it isn't a confirmed downtrend. I don't see the point of doing that. Now, what's interesting is that if it does continue a little bit to the downside, and we put in a lower low on the RSI, we could possibly see some type of bullish divergence forming because we're not very close to this low down here around $52. So that's something to keep an eye on. I may start another swing on this thing if we do see a bottom get put in, because remember my purchase on Luna was at what, 28? I think it was at 20. I remember buying it off of the break, which was here. Yeah, so at $28. So we bought it at 28. We took profits at on December 23rd at 88. So we kind of like 3.5x or 2.5x or something like that. So a great trade there. I may have a little bit of a swing in me. You know, we may swing trade this one if we do start to see some clearing of key levels of resistance. But until then, I'm not very excited or interested in doing anything until some more structure gets established. Thank you. Thank you so much. Recent Patreon supporters. I've watched your YouTube videos for a while, so happy to support. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Looking at, yeah, I'd say that's realistically about all of the big ones that we look at. And yeah, so that's kind of just the overall outlook. You know, that's kind of how I'm feeling. That's how I'm. Let's go creep on Twitter. Kind of go see what Twitter's up to. What people are feeling. Has this updated? Nope, that ain't it. When did this update? I don't remember. Last updated Jan 5th. I don't know what time this updated, but I like this. I want this shit to go as low as it can. Like, I want people to be fucking scared. Like, I want this thing to get to 10, bro. Like, I want it to drop, because the lower this thing gets, the closer to the bottom we are. Like, that's kind of how I see it, at least. So that's cool. Let's see what Lark's up to. What's he talking about? Wealth Mastery. I support him. For coins I once did, always clearly marked a sponsored ad. Last time was like 2 years ago. I'm an investor. I invest in coins I like and talk about them. Sometimes I get it right. Sometimes I get it wrong. I do some sponsorships here and there. I tell you guys when I do them. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. Okay. If you don't know who Lark Davis is, you need to go look at his stuff. Do you announce when you buy and sell on the Discord? Yeah. So in the Patreon, I do announce whenever I do any buys and when I do any sells. I don't really do that many all the time, but I definitely do some. Okay. Currently down 30% for all-time highs. To be honest, what kind of price action is pretty normal? Yeah, it's normal. Okay, I'm glad it's not just me who feels like this is normal. It's very normal. Like, this isn't anything that's really out of the ordinary for Bitcoin. Like, we see this all the time. How many moves of this size have we seen? Hold on, let's see. I actually want to see something too. Hold on. Let's do this. Where are we at? So that bottom side support did hold. I mean, that's interesting. So one thing that I talked about in the Patreon recently is that over the last year, we've been seeing a key level of support on the Bollinger Band with hold, and we've also been seeing a decline in the amount of volatility. So let me explain what this is really quickly, okay? So what we know about the Bollinger Bands is that, again, they are measurements of volatility mixed in with the idea in which they are 2 standard deviations away from the price. And whenever we are extending outside of them, that's a sign of volatility. So they open up to absorb the price. Okay. Just to put it in simple terms. So what we know, again, is that the width of our Bollinger Bands is an explanation, a representation, or a reflection, since I'm Edgar Allan Poe today, of Volatility again. Okay, so when they widen, it gets more volatile. When they squeeze, it gets less volatile. One thing we can track is the Bollinger Band width. And so whenever they are 12 units, I don't know what the measurements are, but when they are 12 units apart, for example, and this specific width apart, we have a tendency to see bounces. We have a tendency to see moves. And these moves over the last year, realistically, have been declining in size, leading to this very small market or this less active market here. Okay. And so, give me 1 second, really quick. Uh, okay, there we go. Okay, I forgot that I had to send somebody the link to this live stream because they can never get into my live streams just joining normally. It's so weird. But anyway, so again, looking at this thing, we have seen that this key level of support has held before. Now, it's usually a sign when we hit this that shit's about to get a little weird. Okay, it doesn't really say what exactly is going to happen, but every time we hit it, something's about to start to happen. Okay, and so what we can see is like, let's look at the last ones. So the last one we can see. So the last one we can see, let's kind of put this in a correlation. It was a macro high. The time before that, it was a macro low, this little area. The time before that, another macro low, right? Yeah, we saw a dip and then the rip. Same thing here, right? A little bit of a dip and then a rip. This one, a dip, rip, dip. Okay. Looking at this one, we saw just a dip. And then now we put in this bottom, we saw the dip, or the rip and then the dip. So it's interesting to see that this level is holding, and I'm expecting volatility to increase soon. That does not mean we're either going to go down or we're gonna go up or we're gonna go down. It just kind of means that volatility is likely going to pick up, and that we've been seeing a little bit of boringness for long enough, right? That the market is getting to a point where it's seen this it's seen, how do you explain it? Boringness for a sufficient amount of time, and the whales have seen what they needed to see before we start to see a little bit of an increase in volatility, which makes sense as to why we're starting to see a bit of a fall today, right? Because we're coming up off the bottom side. We started to see a little bit more excitement recently. So it does seem as maybe we're going to get a little bounce in volatility, right? Maybe towards the end of January, we start to put in maybe a macro low, or we put in, a big ass fall. Who knows? You never know, obviously. And so interesting. It's a very interesting thing to monitor for sure, and to see that this level is still holding up for sure. So, interesting thing to pay attention to. Interesting thing to pay attention to. But again, we see these falls happen all the time. I mean, you look at this from a long term perspective, especially on a logarithmic scale. It's really not anything pretty important, right? Um, Which token do you feel is good to be accumulating? I'm not accumulating anything right now, actually. So I'm not going to be doing any buying until we start getting confirmations that the market is making a move to the top side. We need to see confirmations to the upside, or you're just buying in a downtrend, which doesn't make sense. But what I am looking to add on to is some DOT. I want to buy some more Link, some more Ethereum. I want to buy. I really, 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 really would like to pick up some more Matic if we can get a pretty substantial fall to the downside. I'm really liking Super Farm. Big fan of Engine. Solana's decent. I have a huge freaking bag in Solana, so I don't really need to buy that much more. But I would say if I had to give me a top five, Dot 1, Link 2, Ethereum 3, Eng 4, and Matic 5. Those are the five I'm keeping the closest eye on. Tyler, what are your thoughts about Bitcoin? Sorry, I got hungry. Tyler, what are your thoughts about Bitcoin? Will it go? Oh, okay. So, what do you think it will go for the next gap fill? 30K, or is it going to go bullish? You're expecting, please. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, like, to be honest, the midterm definitely could see some falling. The midterm could see some falling, but we've not seen the confirmations at this point that says that we are going to yet. We've not lost any key levels of support just yet, being down here. So nothing tells me statistically that we're definitely going to see a fall. I think that this year it could be a little bit ugly at first, whenever all of these new these implications come around from all of the changes being made in the economy. So I think that can have a bit of a weight on the market. I'm not expecting a parabolic run anytime soon, within the next few weeks or maybe even the next month or two. I don't think that's gonna happen yet. But I think that it's all a game that now that we have revisited the wick lows, that's what I was so adamant on that. We freaking set this low. We recovered too fast, just like we did back here, just like we did back here. I was like, we recovered too quick. We need to revisit the wick lows. And I was just saying that all the time. It's like, we're either going to get above 52K or we're going to that wick. And now that we're here, I need a few days to see how it plays out. Okay. Um, yeah, I need to, I kind of just want to see how it plays out. I'm not scared to say I don't know sometimes, you know? Isn't it 10 minutes? I feel like there used to be a counter somewhere, right? When does this update? I don't remember. I just check it every morning. Oh, I'm dumb. It's in a minute. Okay, cool. I think that shit's gonna drop. What y'all betting? Hey, what we betting? What y'all think? What y'all think? What y'all think? I'm thinking like 19. XLM. Let's look at what's that, Stellar? Is that Stellar? What is XLM? That's Stellar, right? Yeah, Stellar. Okay. What's XLM up to? Pretty easy one. Pretty easy one here. Clear trend. Look for the trend break. Look for the trend break. No point in buying until it breaks the downtrend it's in. Because it just had a lower low, right? So that means that there is still the possibility of a revisit of these lows toward 19 cents. So until it sees a trend break, that is on the table. Falling back down towards these levels is on the table. So I would definitely be looking for this move to the upside before I considered buying. Simple. It's so easy right now to keep it as simple as possible when it comes to the technicals, right? There's no point trying to just speculate what's going to happen. Let's see what people think. What are y'all thinking? I'm thinking 19. Jesus, Carmina said 10, dude. Could you imagine? I'd be so hyped. Ottoman Fighter, need new patterns, but I hope we're going bullish. I hate a bearish market. I love bear markets. That sounded a little bit idiotic. I like bear markets because I know that's where wealth will be made. I look at it like this. You will get rich. You could get rich if this is where we are. You could get wealthy if this is where we are. Right? Even if we're going to see a continued fall to the downside, if we can accumulate the right coins and do good research and really accumulate in a bear market, we can get wealthy. You can get rich if this is where we are. And, you know, if this is what we're looking at, something like this, in which we're going to see growth, sure, a lot of money can be made, but so much more can be made in a bear market. From bear market to bull market top, I cannot wait to experience that full cycle. Oh, I did it again. Sorry, lo siento. I know people with good TA love bear markets. I love them. What do you think about Phantom? Did you see it coming down anytime soon? I talked about Phantom earlier. Just kind of go back not too long ago. Negative 14. Jeez. Did it update? I think it did. Let's see. Oh, okay. 15. Look at that. Oh, that's sick. Dope. When was the last time we were at 15? It was at 16. Our man, this feels like just a dip so far. December 11th was the last time we were here. What happened after that? Not much, really. Did the market get people got more excited after that? For what? This is the dumb shit I don't understand in crypto. Like, why did people have a 16 ranking on the fear index and then 2 days later back up to a 28 and the market literally did nothing but fall? It doesn't make sense. That's insane. Look at the daily close. Okay, so the daily closed on the Coinbase charts above our key level of support. I think today's closes, the next 24 hours is going to do a lot of telling about what's about to happen. Interesting. Good. Let them be scared. Let them be as scared as they freaking can. I want them to poo on themselves in fear. Cool. Okay. So we're at a 15. So people are pretty damn scared. I wonder what happens if we go to like 30K. I wonder what that level of fear is going to be. Said 16 was close. You saved me by prediction on Chainlink. Well done. Oh, no problem. I hear some people saying that Oops. We'll reach the bear market by late March, early April, and some other people saying we'll reach it by October. What do you think? Mm, we might be in a bear market. Like, there's no confirmations technically yet, and I don't think we are, but we could be. So it kind of really all depends. Like, it's so hard to give a prediction of what's going to happen in the next 6 months or so, because it's like if we start coming down below this level, especially these levels, we are confirmed obviously in a bear market. So that means we'd have been in it for 2 months already, right? But if we hold this level and then we get a parabolic run by March up to 100, like 90K, likelihood is it starts around March once the tapering starts, right? So it kind of all depends on if we hold or not, right? It's really making a guess while we're right in between these two levels. It's kind of like a 50-50. You're really just speculating. You're really just speculating if you think you know what's happening right here. It's more of just a watch and see what happens type of moment. Do we hold or do we not? Do we break here or do we break here, right? Because realistically, this is what it comes down to. Now, I tell you guys the level is 40K, but if I'm being honest, none of you are going to want to hear this, but I don't care. The real level is 30,000, right? Like, whenever we look at this thing in more of a macro scale, we put in a high, we put in a low, we put in a higher high. Realistically, on this macro trend, we just need to put in the higher low above 30K. We could go as low as $32,000 and still be okay for a continuation. It just gets harder. So, in the short term, though, 40K is what's important. And so it kind of just all depends on how we interact here and where we break out. And then we can start to kind of gauge what we think is going to happen this year. God dang it, I did it again. Again, it just really just depends on 52 or 40, right? Where do we go? Because again, remember, like we said, set in a high, we set in a low, a higher high, we need a higher low. So realistically, it could go all the way back down here, but we don't even need to worry about it coming down to these levels until it loses 40K. While we're above 40K, there's nothing to be concerned about. Okay, 52K is the door, though. That's where we go. Um, that's how I feel, honestly. What level is confirmation that we're going bullish in your opinion? 52,000, 52 to 53. Fortune favors the brave. Who is that? The Marines? Is that their slogan? You should know your stuff. Thanks for keeping it real. I don't want to say like I know my stuff, but I've definitely been in this market long enough to not fall for the bullshit. Right? Like I just take my emotions out. Like, all right, this is what it is. Yeah. If Bitcoin hits 30K, that's bad news. Syscoin, I don't know anything about it. Any opinions on the Ripple lawsuit or Ripple in general? I'm really not all too concerned with Ripple. I think they have great technology, but with something as environmentally heavy on top of the price like the lawsuit, I'm definitely like not focusing on it too much, just because that can interact and affect it in so many ways that it's just kind of hard to predict at all. Asia's already dumping Elon. Still growing, still going all in on Everdome, regardless of the market when it launches. Anyone else, dude? Everdome's gonna be so big. How long you been doing crypto? I've been in crypto, actively investing and trading for a year, but I started following and doing technical analysis on the charts of Bitcoin in 2017. I never bought a. I was only in 2017. I was 16, so I didn't even have any money at all. But I started getting interested in charting and things like that my junior year of high school. Well, yeah, so 2017. Yeah. I started taking it the most serious, if I'm being honest, like probably 2 years ago now. 2 years ago. Do you take market cap into consideration at all in altcoins? Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely should. Could this potentially be the start of a big go up? Yeah. It could if we get above 52K. We have 250 people in here actively. That's insane. What's up? Not adding any more Cardano right now, that's for sure. Altcoins getting more and more loosened from Bitcoin. I agree. People might say it's not true because when Bitcoin's green, they're green, and when Bitcoin's red, they're red. But this says it all. this constant downtrend, even when we saw um, this boringness over the last few months and a constant downtrend on Bitcoin dominance to show that altcoins are still outperforming, I would agree. Don't mean to be that guy, but wouldn't the start have been in November? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Wherever we put in a top, that's where the start would have been if we get a confirmation to the downside. Um, RW, good night, homie. Sleep well. Are you still doing gym hunters? Have you checked? So I'm not doing gym hunting right now. I do it in the Patreon. I'm actually starting a gym finder series in the Patreon, kind of, sort of, next week. But I'm not focused on microcaps. I will talk about some here and there, but that's not where my main focus is right now. And I think focusing specifically on them is definitely detrimental at this point in the market. My soul and inch positions are so sad right now. So much money down. Yeah, I'm down a little bit on a few of those. If we slide under 40K, are you letting go of any positions? No, probably not. Do you have a specific percentage on taking profits? I have a tendency to do 15% or 10%. I don't know why. That is just kind of what I do. Oh god. Final alt season ahead, I think so, probably. If we have one more big explosion, it's definitely probably the last one for a while. I love Gala games. I just definitely wouldn't be buying right now while we are in a bit of a downtrend. Like, this is a strong downtrend. So we did break bottom side of symmetrical triangle. So with Gala games, I didn't forget, don't worry. Looking at it from this perspective, I would say with Gala. Oh, this is interesting. So look at this. So it'll be curious to see if this holds. So we have two separate trend lines. Oh, wait. No, I'm tripping. Never mind. False alarm. So this is kind of where I'm at right here, right? Like, still kind of tracking this. Now that symmetrical triangle didn't play out, we broke to the bottom side of that. We do have to adjust this to a descending triangle. And, if it's still all about the break to the upside. The break to the upside here failed. We didn't establish that support. Small buy on the breakout. Small buy or more buys on a support establishment. We never established that support. So with this one, I would just be looking for that break to the upside establishment of support, which it failed to do here. But in terms of Gala, I just wouldn't be buying right now. Do like what they have going on, though. Are we going any lower? I would like to buy some Gala Luna. Probably going to go a little lower if I had to guess. What do you think for XRP? Again, XRP is one of those ones that I'm kind of just watching from the sidelines, but not doing anything with. Mana price prediction. We went over Mana earlier. I told you guys I'm looking for that clearing towards 363 on a daily close, and if we're able to do that, that's when I would start to like to get in. But until it's able to do that, it's likely going to continue downward. Retracement alt season 2014 and 2017. Right. We kind of talked about this earlier about the ones I was looking to buy. Just rewind a little bit. I think smart money is dragging the price down so they buy cheap. I actually disagree. As crazy as that sounds, I think the majority of whales are actually accumulating and we're losing all the retail right now. Let me explain why. I'm like obsessed with Lark, by the way. BT dubs. Maybe have like, a little bit of a YouTube crush, I guess. But looking at he posted something yesterday. I saw it. I thought, was that Lark? Dang it, I don't know where it was. There was a tweet, maybe it wasn't Lark. There was a tweet basically saying that the way it explained it was that the transactions that we're seeing right now that are like $10,000 to $20,000 are actually increasing, while the the smaller transactions are actually declining. Basically, meaning that like the bigger money is doing more buying and the smaller money is not buying as much. Bitcoin is down because the Fed announced that they are going to be kind of increasing on their tapering events, doing some sell-offs of some of their assets and taking some pretty oh my God, John. Taking some pretty fast steps to tapering down the economy. Nothing is going to go up till Bitcoin goes up. I do agree with that. Each one is a little bit different. Sound of Freedom. It really all just depends. I actually did Sound of Freedom. You're in the Patreon, right? Go look in the what channel was it? The Silver Plus Educational channel, and I did a whole live stream about taking profits. I have no idea, Assad. No clue. Do you always take 15%? Take profits around 15% or long-term holds? So what I meant was that when I'm ready to take profits, I tend to take 15% of profits off the table. That's what, like when Matic and this, I took 15% here, I took 15% here, and I took here, and I took 15% here. That's what I meant. Your hair is gorgeous. Thank you. It's been a long process. It's been definitely annoying sometimes too. No problem. No problem. Can you check Vulcan Forge? I bought in at $15. It is at what, 12 something now? 12.28. Yeah, yeah. Did see that break to the downside. We did see a bearish resolution, which isn't the best sign ever, not gonna lie. Yeah. You might want to just hold on for the ride, my boy. or my lady, or whatever. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Vulcan 4 is one of those ones that I'm kind of just letting it, just kind of seeing what it does. You know what I mean? Because this chart does not look very bullish to me, personally. I have some Vulcan Force too. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't think I don't have any. I have some as well. I just wouldn't be necessarily buying anymore. I would at least need to see this break a trend somewhere. At some point, that'll be pretty important. Please look into Axie Infinity. This thing's just flat. What's that? A VPVR peak on top of that level of resistance? Yup. Little VPVR peak here. I'd like to see if it holds. So actually looks like it's just back testing this level of support, which usually means that there is a fib retracement level right here. Yep. So right now with Axie, I would just go ahead and say, sitting on top of 73.81 is optimal. It does seem to be back testing this region between this fib support at but again, 73.81 fib support and this local high, it does look like it's trying to flip this and, resistance, flip it into support and continuation. And so if it is able to hold this little box, I'm going to draw a little box here for Axie Infinity from local resistance to bottom side support. As long as it's holding this level, I wouldn't be too concerned. But if it does start to fall below that, do understand that there is a good chance you're going to see, a continued trickle to the downside probably. Maybe not 50% or anything like that, but probably a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'd say. I would look. We do have his VPVR peak here. That's just kind of chilling. Let's see the relevance there. Not super relevant, but relatively relevant. Maybe it's even sufficient enough to pull this down a bit, right? Maybe it's sufficient enough to pull this down to like the $70 area. So this is the box. This is kind of what I would say you want to see support hold between 83 and 70. As long as you're in or above this realm, you're good. Elon can't help us right now. Elon, no, we don't want Elon. I want the market to crash before I want Elon saying dumb shit. Dude, when Elon was manipulating the market, it drove me insane. I love Elon. I have so much money invested into Tesla, but God, does he annoy me when it comes to crypto. Matic pumping, is it? Not really, right? I mean, kind of. Yeah, kind of. Shit. I mean, it's up what? What's that, 10%? That's pretty close. 9%? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, cool. He still manipulates it a lot. Yeah, probably so. Probably so. Remember though, what do we know? Let's talk. What do we know happens when we see these big ass wicks? We see a wick, we see a recovery, we see a trickle down to the wick, we start to get closes around the wick, and then we start to move up. If we're going to move up, it don't usually look like this. My guess is that we may recover, pull back towards the bottom side of the wick, get a few closes around this area, and then continue upwards. Similar to what we saw back here, right? We saw the wick, saw recovery, we're trickling down to the wick, and then we're going to see recovery, okay? Hopefully. So I wouldn't get too excited yet. What do you think about Shiba? Did you get any yourself? No, I didn't. What do we know when Tesla stops accepting Bitcoin? Dude, that was the most annoying time of my life. KDA big and what is that, like the Dana or something? I haven't looked into it. I've heard it so much. I need to stop ignoring it. Market's done. Yeah, really. Dude, I went to the dentist today. My freaking teeth hurt. Matic to the moon. Ehong Robles, love some Matic. So, hey, what do y'all think? Should we do more live streams like this one? Oh my god, Jordan, chill. What do y'all think? Should we do more live streams, kind of similar to this one, where we look at the market, look at cryptos, and just chill? Yeah, 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 yeah. Cool. Okay. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm gonna be that guy, kind of, sort of. Okay, hold on. Give me one sec. I don't like mean to be that guy. I'm kind of be that guy. Okay. So what I will say is that in my Patreon, which I'm not plugging it, but I kind of am, I literally do this every single day. Like every day, as much as possible. Not every day because sometimes I'm busy, but just about every day. We do these live streams where I just freaking go on live and I just talk and I look at the charts. I do it as about 3 or 4 days a week, as much as I can. So if there's something you'd be interested in, go check it out. But if not, it's okay. Okay. Just to kind of show you, I'll kind of show you guys around the Discord too, just to kind of show you what all you'd be getting into. Because I don't like people who just say buy this and then don't buy it. Or say buy this and then don't like even show what they're. So like in the Discord, right? So the announcements channel you can see. So like I'm just gonna go up a little bit and you can see all of. So I put the live streams in here, so you can see like live stream December 27th, December 28th. I did one on December 30th, on January 2nd, January 3rd, January. I didn't do one yesterday. Or I didn't do one. No, I did one yesterday. Yeah, it says yesterday right there. I did one yesterday. I didn't do one today because I just got home from the dentist. But I literally do these live streams every day. So like what we're doing now is just what I do in there. So if you want to check it out, come check it out. If not, I'm gonna start doing some live streams here and there on the channel. I'm not encouraging or incentivizing any of you to buy the Patreon. It's extra money that you can probably use doing something better with your time, like maybe like buying a order of French fries from Chick-fil-A. I think everyone loves those. But if you do want to check it out, I do feel like I offer a pretty solid amount of value. And so there's just kind of that. So yeah. Oh yeah, no. Everyone has access to this. No, could you imagine? I had friggin' 100 or 200 people in my Patreon live streams. You still the Safe Moon guy? No, I don't think I'm deemed the Safe Moon guy anyway. You restocking the bronze? I probably should. I've been considering it, but at the end of the day, I said there was a limited amount of spots, so I don't want to like be that guy who just keeps reopening it because of people who bought. Well, I guess anyone who bought the higher spot because they didn't have the lower spot, they could just downgrade, right? Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it like at 75,000 subs. We're at 74 now. So Victor, what's up, dude? Welcome to the channel, homie. Final verdict. We are not confirmed to be in a bear market just yet. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. My jaw's starting to hurt from my dentist appointment. But we are not confirmed in a bear market yet. Someone asked me a question about the dentist. Hold on. What's the pain from? Oh, they were cleaning my teeth, and I have really sensitive gums, so my gums just hurt. It's not like actual pain or anything. But final verdict of the day. Bitcoin has not made any confirmations. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you the charts. Hold on. Un segundo, please. All right. So, final verdict of the day when it comes to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has not gone down to set any lower lows. That would be relatively worrying. Again, we're still above $40,000. And in terms of a macro scale, that's what we need to be on top of in order for us to not see a push back towards these low 30s. So realistically, even though we did see this today, it's really not that bad of a thing. I definitely think this is going to affect the market next year, but I don't think it could be something that really is going to just destroy the market. I think what we're seeing right now is normal. I think what we're seeing right now was expected. It is very similar to what we saw this summer. And that if we do start to hold some level, if we start to hold some ground in reverse here, we're still looking at $52,000 as the level for us to get above. If we get above that, we're back in bullish territory. Until we do so, we are not. And I won't be doing any accumulation on any cryptos until they do start to clear some of the trends in which we did talk about today. So with that being said, that is realistically about it. I don't believe that we are in a bear market just yet. We've not seen those confirmations, but it is possible, and you need to be mentally prepared for the fact that it is on the table. It is possibly here. This is possibly it, and we're already in it, and it's not that bad. Okay, so what that means for you is that I think right now the best thing you can do is learn some new stuff. Okay, whether that be doing more research, whether that be friggin' um, whether that be going and learning about new cryptos, whether that be going and upping your knowledge on certain things about TA, whether that be looking into the fundamentals of cryptos and understanding how they can provide understanding, what makes up the differences between certain layers, like layer one, layer two, layer three, whether that be understanding why the metaverse is beneficial. Just up your research. Even though the market's changing, even though the prices are falling right now, that doesn't change the amount of research that there is to be done. And realistically, if we do enter into something like what we saw in the history, in which we see prices going up, you need to be as well knowledge as you possibly can, because there's going to be a lot of money on the table, and you don't want to do a bunch of dumb shit with a lot of money that you're going to regret for a long time. Okay. So the best thing that you can do right now is sit back, stop staring at these charts all day. I'll stare at them all day for you and update you when anything important happens. All you got to do, just turn on notifications. That's all I'm going to ask. I don't want to be that guy, but that'd be great. And, and simply just do some more research and start to update your understanding on everything. And so, with that being said, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to jump into the chat for 5 minutes, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. So, why don't you do Safe Moon content? We talked about it earlier. It's just not where my interests are. And I post about my interests because I think that's where my best content comes from, is what I'm interested in. As selfish as that is, it's okay. The dentist was the other guy in the ring. No, no. I'm gonna sub right now. I appreciate you. What, according to you, is a bear market? If we lose 40,000, we're likely gonna retest 30. If we lose 30, that is like as clear as a confirmation as it gets. We're going into an extended bear market. Safe Moon has lost me mucho dinero. Biggest scammers in crypto. I used to be a fan. That CEO John is terrible. Why win machine tech? Maybe buy Phantom on the dip. Buying Phantom definitely is interesting if it does dip a little more, but buying right now is definitely risky with the extension that it's seen recently. Of course, homie. Peppa big oats. Big okay, got it. Do you have any tips on where to start with researching crypto? Coming from a crypto noob, start with Coin Bureau on YouTube. I think that's great. Start with Coin Bureau. He is one of the best fundamental YouTubers that you will learn so much fundamentals about from him. Start there. When you come across something or a term or a phrase or something you don't understand, look it up and spread out your research. If you want to learn some TA, go check out who's another good YouTuber? Crown's Crypto Cave. He works on Elio Trey's channel. Check out him and check out Sheldon on Crypto Banter. Rand is a little bit of a moon boy sometimes, but Sheldon definitely provides some like very good insight, especially on charts. Look at Sheldon from Crypto Banter. Look at Crown's Crypto Cave from Elio's Trades. Both of them provide great technical analysis. And then if you want an idea of like trends and like support and resistance, who's another one? Coins Kid is a great one. Lark Davis as well. Your voice gives me a lot of security. You speak. Yo hablo un poquito español, pero yo necesito que practicar mucho. Entonces, a veces, sí. This is pretty hype seeing you live. Keep doing what you do. Watch literally every day for the moves. Well, homie, I'm glad we were able to talk. I'm glad I was able to meet you. Nice to meet you, homie. It's pretty cool. Hey, Tyler, keep doing your thing, girl. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. What's your thoughts on Solana right now? We did talk about them earlier, but with Solana, I would say just waiting for a breakout to the upside, but I'm definitely not selling or anything like that right now. Yep, this is my blockchain backer's a great one too. Backer's a great one too. Coin Bureau, Crown's Crypto Cave with a C, like if you were like a hole in a mountain, a cave. No. I just don't. I just dude. I know so much about him behind the scenes. Not necessarily him, but how things are run over there, and it's oh. What's your prediction for a link in a year? So a year from now, if things go really bullish, I can see it hitting $100. Kind of just depends on obviously what happens in the market. It all depends on what happens with Bitcoin. I just bought close to 100 SOL yesterday. Where is that now? Makes me want to cry. It happens, homie. That is a, it's a lit, it happens. But I do think that we could see a bounce relatively soon, considering the Bollinger Bands. We're bottom siding right now. So we could see a bounce. Maybe there's a bounce and you can, just maybe ladder out a little bit, even if you don't break even. Maybe it's an idea or just hold it, for the long term. I haven't looked into Adam enough to know the chart history, but who posted something about Adam earlier? Elio Trades posted something about Adam earlier. Go check. What I have no idea what the video was, but I like that channel. So it could be worth checking out. I enjoy manipulating the market by dumping on support. Okay, Satan, relax. Jesus. Yeah, no. Okay, not gonna lie. I think it's Crypto's Arts, his channel. His intro makes me laugh every single time I hear it. That shit has me going up the wall. What's up? It's George. My name's George. We're all George. That shit cracks me up. But his channel is definitely a little bit pumpy in a way. But I mean, he's much more successful on YouTube than me, so maybe he's doing something right. Thoughts on the ETH chart? We did it earlier. I went over Ethereum, just kind of looked at what we saw. I basically went over the support level and this resistance level. Keep it simple, keep it easy. Habla español, que chido. Sí, un poquito, pero yo no sé cómo decir muchas palabras, pero yo entiendo suficiente. I think that's how you say that. You get it. You get it. I can get around. You know what I mean? But I'm not having full blown conversations with like Puerto Ricans because I will just get completely lost. I have no idea what that link is. I'm not clicking it. I'm going to dump another big one into support. You're so toxic. I love you. Mr. Garcia, see? Mm-hmm. Mr. Garcia, so goated. I'm in Louisiana. Not going to tell you what part, though. Might be Lafayette, though. Oh, man. What a good stream. We just streamed for 2 hours. I'm sweating, though. I'm not going to lie. Okay. Yeah, no, it's a super good stream. So I think we should do a stream like this more often. Oh goodness. Oh sweet. Bro, I listen to you almost every day, at least when you're on. I really enjoy your perspective. Thank you. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin going down to 20K? It's on the table. It's on the table it's possible. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's definitely possible. Okay. Can't ignore that because realistically, we never revisited it, right? I don't think. Yeah, we broke all-time highs and we never came back down to revisit it. So it could happen, right? I mean, if we're looking at, let me see something like this, right? What's our weekly bond? I don't think it would. I can't imagine that happening, but it could. I don't think it will, though, okay? When is a good time to buy Bitcoin? 52K or above is what I'm doing. I didn't know your hair was flowing like that. Shrinkage is great. Oh, yeah, look at this, dude. It's freaking, yeah, it's so long. Like, look at this. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. You're great, bro. Appreciate it. Welcome from Amsterdam. What time is it there? Like freaking 1, 2? Well, yeah, no. So I think we're gonna do these live streams more often. I'd like to do this anytime something big happens. Like if a crash like this happens, I'd like to do it. Or if anything relevant happens, I'd like to do it. But I honestly think we should do this more often. I think we should, I feel like I'm talking to someone like I just went on a date with them. But I definitely think we should. Oh, it is one. Nice. I'm freaking good at this. Oh, nice. Ottoman fighters from the Netherlands too. But anyway. So I think we should do this more often. I definitely think it can be beneficial, and I hope I can provide some research value, knowledge, or anything that could be relevantly or what's that? Remotely. That's the word. Remotely valuable to you guys. That's just my goal. I just want to provide value in any way I possibly can, and whatever happens. So with that being said, guys, that is going to be about it for the stream. I hope you guys did enjoy 2 hours of staring at my red nose like I'm Rudolph. If you did, of course, I would really, really, really just appreciate it. Can you just throw a like on this? That's really about it. I don't really ask for the whole go subscribe to the Patreon, go to my referral link down below, subscribe to the channel, turn on all notifications, and don't miss the next video. I don't do all that. I just like it. Like if you just like it, more people will see it. That's all I ask. So if you can do that, I would really appreciate it. And with that being said, again, I will see you all very, very soon. I have this really cliche, cringy thing that I want to play at the end of this. So I'm gonna get it ready because for the aesthetic, duh. All right. Peace out, peeps.